Ben, thanks for joining me. I'll just take it back right to 2014 when you joined Nottingham when they were at Island Avenue. You were obviously at Exeter before that. What made you come to Nottingham?
So yeah, 2004, I just finished a master's degree at Exeter, which had been helped funded by Chiefs, and I'd played there 4 seasons. And I suppose I was looking at like what was next really for me. It was time I was 24, finished uni, knew that probably full-time rugby wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I still wanted to play in the championship. We'd done really well at Exeter, had some great times, like finished second, third in the league, gone to Twickenham Cup finals, knew that I could deal with it at that level, but ultimately knew that at some point I was going to have to get a proper job. So was looking at clubs within the championship Division 1 then, that I suppose I thought, you know what, it's a big enough place where there's going to be job opportunities. They're ambitious, and Nottingham really fitted that mould. They'd just got promoted that season. I met Simon Beetham down in a service station in Exeter. We had a conversation about it. And I came up to Island Avenue, and what I saw was a proper rugby club, really, with opportunity. And fell in love with it. I think if looking back at it now, and you get that opportunity when you get older, I don't know. There's probably something in me that I was always going to go to Nottingham. Like I love Trent Bridge. Like I'm a big cricket fan. My nan, like she absolutely loved Brian Clough, and we grew up watching football and watching Nottingham Forest. And I think if you look back at it, there's sort of lots of things that pointed me towards Nottingham, and then the rugby just happened and they got promoted, and I'm still here.
And then in 2006, when the club moved to Meadow Lane, you were obviously still at Nottingham, but you moved into an off the field role as well as playing. How did that come about?
Yeah, like I said, when I first moved up in 2004, a big part of it was that I was going to work and play, and the club helped me find a job. Got a lot of things to thank Tom Moorhead for, who's on the board of directors now, obviously. Started working for Tom at a furniture manufacturer where he was chief executive, and then 2006, Meadow Lane was sold. Island Avenue was sold and moved to Meadow Lane. Sort of lots of exciting things happening. Tom actually came in and was working as chief exec at the club, and he knew that the sort of infrastructure and things weren't in place. He knew what I'd done at the furniture manufacturer, and knew that I would get hold of it and sort a few things out. And he was like, look, do you want to come and work full time at the club, get your hands dirty in lots of different things operationally? I jumped at the chance. It was a good mix for me, because like a lot of the boys were coaching in the community or starting to go full time, but I knew that wasn't for me, which is why I moved to Nottingham in the first place. But that balance of being in the back office and playing was like perfect, and ultimately it's sort of helped me progress on what I do now.
I was going to mention that not only the balance of playing and working, but the transition from playing full time and then moving into part-time rugby and the part-time work model. How did you find that?
It's not easy. Like I've gone from Exeter, where literally like I did a uni course, but how many lectures I actually went to, questionable. So I was pretty much full-time player. And yeah, you transition to working, and you've got to train at 7 because you've got to be at work for 9. You've then got to finish your day. No matter what happens, you've got to be at the club for 5:30 to train. It's like, I don't think anyone would argue. It probably took me a good few months to get my head around it. I was like, you were pigeonholing yourself into slots, and like you're tired a lot of the time as well. Let's be honest. Like it's hard graft, but mentally it was good for me because there was lots of different challenges in different areas, and I learned a lot from working in different places. I think looking back on that time, like my first season, I was in and out of the team a little bit. Back end of the season, I sort of got my head around it, was playing consistently. I went on a England counties tour to Argentina, that summer, and came back and probably had one of my best seasons of the 6 at Nottingham the year after, and won Supporters Player of the Year, because I'd sort of transitioned properly and got my head around what I was actually needing to do. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time, but like, it's rewarding. Like, you get them. I think the big thing for me is, like, you playing in the Championship is a privileged position. Like, lots of people would give their right arm to do that. So if you can mix that and have a career, like, it's a great opportunity, really.
That part-time model must have really suited you, because obviously you stayed at the club for 5 years, made 135 appearances. So you say it took a while to get your head around it and get used to it. But then in the end, obviously that model worked for you, and that's the way that these players are going to have to head towards in the future.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I mean, the Championship's gone through lots of phases, and we were part of that, where we thought that being full time was what we needed. And it's a big, like, as soon as more than 3 clubs go full time, everyone's got to follow suit, because otherwise you just get left behind, right? Mm. But for me, that model is the Championship. You can't get past the fact that the crowds aren't big enough, like, the income for these clubs aren't big enough. But if they can sustain a model where you can find people good jobs, you can play quality rugby, you can do enough training that you are going to put on a spectacle at the weekend and compete against the best teams, I think that's the way it's got to be, really. And people have got to expect that a little bit. Like, Nottingham have done it in the same way that Exeter did when I was there. Like, we had, I don't know, 15 players probably that were part of the university setup as well. Having that with Nottingham Trent Uni and Uni of Nottingham at Nottingham has been a massive step forward, I think, in the last few years. But ultimately, one of the reasons why I was around at Nottingham for six years was because we had such a good group of blokes. Like, there was a lot of us that joined in 2004, or there was a few that had stayed and won that sort of league below to come up into the Championship. And, like, don't forget, Nottingham have been in that league now since 2004. Like, Fauxie was one of those people that got the club up into that league. Like, he was one of the stalwarts. But you look at people like David Jackson, Craig Hammond, Neil Stenhouse, they all came up with that team, formed the core of it, and then other players like me were brought in. But we all stayed together for a massive period of our lives, really. We all sort of grew up together.
So from there, you fast forward to 2009, which is the year that you left the club. You left the club to go into full-time work at Mace Sport. For people that don't really know much about Mace Sport, just give us a brief overview.
So yeah, 2009, I joined Mace Sport. We're sports communications agency, so PR, marketing, digital. We look after sponsorship activation. Like, sport is what we do, and obviously that's been a big part of my life, and that was something that I wanted to do. But the job that I had at the club helped me transition into that, really. Like, as that role moved on, I moved it much more into sort of the PR and communication side, and I was writing articles every week for Nottingham Post and just helping sort of tell the story around the club in many ways, I suppose. And I realised that was what I wanted to do. Actually, saw an article in the Nottingham Post about Mace Sport. They'd just signed Robbie Savage as a client when he was playing at Derby County, and Robbie had not been playing at Derby, was moving into a media career, and Paul Mace was helping Robbie do that. They'd known each other a long time from Leicester, and I just sent a speculative email to Paul just saying, look, I'm at the rugby club, this is what I do, saw that you've taken Robbie on, saw it in the Post, like, have you got anything going? And then, yeah, month down the line, I was there, and I was at a point where I was like, I know that I've got to get a proper job at some point. Like, working and playing at the club is great. It was great, but I always knew that I needed to do something different, and that was the time that it happened. And yeah, I'm still at Mace Sport now, so it's been a good move.
How important was that? So obviously playing out and working, how important was that in help shaping you to be the person that you needed to be to get a job like you have now?
I think, I mean, certainly if you want to work in sport, uh, whether it's commercial, whether it's communications, whether it's operations, whatever, like being able to get your hands dirty in a club like Nottingham, where like we were doing all sorts of different stuff on a daily basis. I learned so much from that. How we're going to grow crowds, how we're going to sell product in the shop, like what's the ticketing system look like, how are we marketing to these people, how like the community side of it, everything. Like you get immersed in something, and you also, the other big opportunity here, and this is probably more as a player than anything else, is you get to meet people that you wouldn't get to meet if you were just Joe Blogs on the street. Like people want to talk to you as a rugby player because you can tell them something about the game, or you've like, yeah, you just have, I don't know, you just get that opportunity, doors get open that wouldn't necessarily be opened, and it's just like it's up to you to take that opportunity and network with people and meet. It's all too easy to train, go home, sit on the PlayStation, then come back for training in the evening and not really do anything. But you look back at that period and you're like, Jesus Christ, we had like so much time on your hands. Yeah, it was hard work some of the time, but ultimately, like I had 10 years of playing professional rugby and working at the same time. When I describe it to people, it's like being at uni with your best mates and getting paid to play rugby. It's like,
Yeah.
what else do you want?
Yeah. And obviously you must love Nottingham because you're still living in Nottingham now. What is it about the city that A, first attracted you, and B, kept you in the city?
Yeah, I like absolutely love Nottingham. It's home now, really, for me. I think it, like going back to that 2004. Like I said, I look at it and I'm thinking it's a big enough place that there's plenty going on. Like you've got big venues, you've got a decent town, got good night life, restaurants, like everything that you need, but you're not gonna get lost in it. And I think certainly from a sports point of view, like look at the clubs around Nottingham. Like literally, if you could ask for anything of a city, you've got international Test cricket venue, you've got what should be a Premier League football club, you've got Ice Arena, you've got Home Pierpont, you've like the rugby club is part of that fraternity, and it's like how does that grow as part of it? But like, yeah, I absolutely love Nottingham. Like, I can't see myself living anywhere else, really.
It's literally got everything, hasn't it? The city. It's well known for its sport, as you say. The two football clubs, the cricket, the ice hockey, everything else that comes with it. But it has got everything, as you say. It's got the nightlife. It's got the restaurants. It's got
Yeah,
the
two Michelin star restaurants, like great music scene, whatever you're into. Like, you're pretty much going to find it in Nottingham, and it feels like it's not too big that you're just part of a little, like you're a little cog, really. I suppose that's the other thing.